It's time to take command with former NFL tight end Logan Paulsen and former Commanders beat reporter Craig Hoffman.
Welcome to Take 5. It's a 5-minute edition of Take Command. So we call it Take 5. That's what we decided we're going to do.
We're so smart. How smart
I know. Brilliant. It's Logan Paulsen. I'm Craig Hoffman. We got a question from Tim. I'm going to go with a French pronunciation here. Tim Foissy. 9508 on YouTube. Do the Commanders keep 5 linebackers, and will the 4th and 5th slots go to Mayo and Eifler? And if you're watching this little 5-minute bit on YouTube, you see the roster projection, Logan, that I did on Friday's radio show live on the air. We came out with it real quick. If I scroll down to the linebackers, I have them keeping 4. Davis, Barton, Mayo, and Khalil Hudson. I don't have Eifler making it. And really, it's worth mentioning, Eifler and Dejon Harris are the only 2 other linebackers in camp, period. So they only have 6 total in camp. What do you think? Do they wind up keeping 5 and the 4th and 5th slots go to Mayo and Eifler?
So you must have – where did you add the roster spot? Was it safeties or –
Yeah, I've got them keeping, let's see, Forrest Curl, Quan Martin, Percy Butler, Jeremy Reeves. I also have them keeping – some might argue it's an extra corner. Forbes, BSJ, Fuller, Wild Goose, Christian Holmes, Danny Johnson.
Yeah, that's an extra one. Yeah.
So it just depends on kind of – this is a special teams question as much as anything, you know?
Yeah. I think there's a really – I think, if there's anyone who's going to get kept, I think you have the right guys. What is it? Davis, Mayo, Barton, and Khalil Hudson. I think those 4 are about as close to a lock as you're going to get on the team. I think Eifler, he does flash, but again, it's kind of like – there's a certain thing you're looking for with a varsity player. And what I mean by varsity is the guy who's going to make the 53. And so with him, I kind of wonder, is he like ready for the big show? Because there's times where he does excellent stuff. Like he had that big hit in the preseason last year. He is good on teams. But is he a guy that can come in and play for you if you need him to? And that's a question I don't know if he can answer. And, we'll see as the offseason goes. Maybe he plays himself into a position where you're like, okay, maybe not this year, but maybe week 8, he's a guy that we could see playing a little bit or whatever. So there's always that developmental element. But I do think like this is a DB-driven defense, outside of defensive line. I'm sure you kept 9 defensive linemen probably, I would think. Is that right?
Yeah, I got Young, Allen, Payne, Sweat, Smith, Williams, Mathis, Ridgeway, Obata, Tuhill, KJ Henry.
Yeah, I think, and that might be 10 actually.
Yeah.
So 10? Yeah.
So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it's 9.
9. Okay. We're missing somebody. It doesn't matter. But anyway, so what I'm saying is like I'd rather keep another one there. I'd rather keep another one at safety or defensive back. And I do think like Wild Goose has done a good job. And Danny Johnson has done a good job like in training camp and last year when he played a lot. So I think those players are, in my estimation, closer to varsity players. And I want to find ways to keep varsity players. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And what I've realized here, Logan, as we do this, the kind of thing that, happens when you do stuff on live radio, I am missing a player. I've only got 52 players because line 1, I have the position and name like placeholder labels on my little chart. Right. So I went down to line 53 and I need to go to line 54. So update, I'm keeping Milo Eifler. He was actually my next.
There's got to be a receiver on there too. Like, did you keep? How many? You kept 6 receivers.
I did keep 6 receivers, and I went 25 offense, 25, or what was supposed to be 25 defense, and then 3 specialists. And we will certainly do larger roster projections as we get later into camp.
Yeah. I think with regards to linebacker, like I think that's this is the nature of it, right? So to me, I'd almost rather keep Casimir Allen if he shows something in the preseason as the specialist, as the returner.
Right. It's kind of a seventh receiver, but it's really it's 7th receiver versus 5th linebacker versus final DB versus like it's the special teams guys. That is what that position is. And Eifler's been good for them when he's had to play special team or when he's been up. Like he's the kind of guy that will be on practice squad, will get elevated for the game and won't be inactive because he's actually useful on special teams.
Right. And I think the other thing to keep an eye on with this is like Braden Daniels and Ricky Stromberg, like are they I don't want to say dead roster spots this year, or do they get like a red shirt basically? And again, that would affect a guy like Eifler too. Like if, like for example, that guy number 60 where we're talking about is playing well, and you feel like he's your swing guy, and get Chris Paul up for a game, like all of a sudden that gets a little bit weird, you know? So I think those are the kind of battles that are going to affect Milo. Now, if Milo comes out and starts bawling out of his mind, then he can kind of help kind of tip the scale in his favor. But I think it's those four guys, like kind of no questions asked. And then it's Milo versus, like you said, the seventh receiver, the sixth DB, the seventh DB, whatever it is. So I think those are kind of the things to keep an eye on. If any of those other positions really start playing well, let's say Danny Johnson starts having a crazy camp, then that probably doesn't bode well for Eifler.
Yeah, I think that's right. All right, so as I learned live here on the podcast, I was one short, but I'm going to go ahead and say, as of right now, to answer the question directly for Tim Foissy, do the Commanders keep 5, and do they go Mayo and Eifler for 4 and 5? I'm going to say yes and yes. That's my prediction as of July 31st. Logan, what's yours?
I think they haven't done that in the past, so I think they're going to probably stick with 4, find a way to keep another DB. But
or 7 receivers.
Yeah, or 7 receivers. It's kind of what I would be leaning towards, just because the precedent is there. But you never know. So we'll see. Maybe Milo is like balling. Maybe today at practice he was the best linebacker on the field, and I haven't watched it yet. So
there you go. All right. Logan says no. I say yes, but we reserve the right to change our minds. See you tomorrow for a full podcast here on Take Command. This was Take 5. Thanks for watching this clip of Take Command. First, why don't you like it? It lets other people know that it was good, and then they should watch it too. And Logan, we have a new exclusive home for full episodes.
We do. 1067 The Fans YouTube page. Go check it out and please subscribe.
Yeah, do what Logan said.
Do it.
Very, very smart.